Last night, Ukraine blew up a Russian ammunition dump, and it was a huge explosion. I have not seen things like this before, and you're going to see it. And a number of other significant targets. My name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. If you care about what's going on in Ukraine, consider subscribing. I do these daily. You don't want to miss what's going on. Okay, we'll start here. Epic destruction of Russian munitions arsenal in occupied Hartitsk. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Somebody went out of their way kindly yesterday or the day before to try to give me a pronunciation guide for major cities. This was not one of them, but I think Zisk is the end of that. Hartsisk on the outskirts of Donetsk. Look at this video. Like, just watch. Look at this. Look at the shockwave here involved. Boom, look at that shockwave before you get to the actual fireball itself. I mean, it's so, and what's going on there is it's on an ammunition dump, and so there's lots of subsidiary explosions as well. Okay, SBU drones blew up Russian ammo depots near the occupied town of Hartitsk in Donetsk region. The strike hit Russian supplies in the village of Velky Okrov. I'm not sure how that one goes either. Late last night, explosions began around 10 p.m., followed by massive secondary detonation and fire. It was a key rear base, host command post, and logistics hub. Okay, more footage of the night's attack, the key logistics hub for Russian forces here. And yeah, we're seeing some significant booms here. Another picture of it, and then Russian ammo stockpile spectacularly destroyed in Donetsk. Hartitsk, here's the video again, marks at least the third major incident involving ammunition sites since 2022. It's been occupied since 2014. So I don't think they were expecting to be struck there. Okay, an explosive night deep in Russia. Drones struck Lipsk and Voronezh regions. This is totally different than what we were just talking about. Russian sources claim 69 UAVs were downed, but reports from local media suggest that the hit on the Energia plant in Lipsk and a major explosion at an industrial site in Kotovsk in the Tambov region. So the Ukrainians were hitting the Russians with many drones, and then the Russians kind of played it off like nothing to see here. Due to its significance for the Russian military-industrial complex, the factory is under sanctions from the EU, US, Japan, and other countries, confirmed by the Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation. But locals, listen to this, locals had just a few hours ago claimed that a parking lot near one of the factories had caught fire. Because, you know, parking lots, they just spontaneously combust and catch fire. Okay. Last night, Ukrainian forces neutralized 40 out of 52 Russian UAVs. I see that and I am terrified. I see those kind of numbers and I think, oh no, here in 3 or 4 days, we're going to see another big 500 drone strike, that sort of thing, because they're saving up. There are dead and wounded, including civilians, after Russian strikes on Poltava today, according to Ukrainian ground forces. One strike caused fire at the city's military enlistment office. Another triggered a fire near the regional recruitment center, hitting a private home. Okay, so the private home sounds like collateral damage to the recruitment center, and I've got to say, like, it's weird. And the war should never have happened. But the military enlistment office and recruitment center are at least legitimate targets, even if the Russians shouldn't be invading. I mean, within the rules of warfare, and this would be collateral damage. Now, I highlight that because it seems so unusual compared to what the Russians usually do, which is, striking civilian targets. Here, let's look at what was going on with this strike. 2 people have been confirmed dead and 11 injured, including servicemen. A Russian drone strike hit a military enlistment building. So here, I pause this right where it is. Let's back this up. See that fireball? Now let's go back a little, and you see, yeah. So, okay, that's what's happening. Look at that drone coming in, right? That's what's causing it. So there was already a strike, and then the drone came in for another strike. All right. Let's look at this. Now, this is what's more normal. I mean, normal, even using that word to describe this. Russian shelling a 9-story building in Odessa. Top floors, rescuers evacuated 50 people, including 2 children. Response efforts are ongoing. That's what the Russians do day over day. Now, today is a day of anti-aircraft missile troops. It's like the Army Day, Navy Day, Marine Corps Day, that sort of thing. It's the day for anti-aircraft missile troops, which is so ironic in light of what just happened over the last couple of days with Washington declining to send more anti-aircraft missiles. Even some that aren't really questionable in our stock that we don't really use. It's just okay, so you're a reliable shield that protects our cities, critical infrastructure, military facilities, and most importantly, the lives of our people. Russian tea has become a daily challenge, but you are always ready. It's your professionalism and courage that saves thousands of lives every day. Thank you for every target taken down, for your strength, professionalism, and resilience. And when you think about this, look at the scale. Russia scales up drone production, or drone attacks rather, 16 times over what they were 1 year ago. So if we're looking at this chart here, look at where it was just a year ago, and here's where it is now. And they knock down 90% or so regularly. Imagine, and you see the destruction. Imagine if all of it was getting through. I mean, it would just, and that is potentially the percentage of what gets through is going to go up potentially significantly given what the U.S. has just done by withdrawing aid. The U.S. decision to suspend military aid to Ukraine will particularly degrade Ukraine's ability to defend against Russia's enhanced long-range missile and drone strike capabilities that have inflicted significant civilian casualties. In sharp contrast to President Trump's stated objective of stopping civilian casualties in Ukraine. Yeah, if your goal is to stop civilian casualties, to end the death, that sort of thing, then this is not the way to get there. Okay, let's look at the battlefield. 1,000 Russian casualties day over day. 1 tank, 5 armored fighting vehicles, 21 artillery systems, 101 vehicles and fuel tanks. We're up to 1,023,000. But that's not the whole story. I'm going to come back to those numbers in just a little bit, because Medvedev has said something that is worth noting, because it kind of pantses them. It shows you that this isn't a good idea. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. But cross-direction, Russian invaders led 41 assaults. Cross is usually the high water mark. It's near Terrasque, where we're going to talk about in just a little bit. And yeah, I mean, so if you see like 60 assaults or 70 assaults in a day, yeah, you're on a high. This is kind of normal for each battlefield day. Russian battlefield gains are expected after U.S. aid pause, according to the ISW. The think tank highlights how previous delays enabled Russian advances in Donetsk Oblast. Now, I say that, and I have to pause and say this. This is a chart. According to our data of the month of June, the Russian armed forces captured 423 square kilometers of Ukraine. You say, well, that's terrible. They captured 423 square kilometers of Ukraine. But this is down from 538 square kilometers in May. And so it was kind of coming to a low ebb, and then an offensive started. But the offensive is kind of losing momentum. Isn't that interesting? Like, you can see it statistically that they're not really gaining the ground that you would think that they'd be gaining. And they know that they have limited time. I mean, they have somewhere between 3 to 6 months from the time that they launch in May, April, June. Well, okay. So really April, end of April is kind of when they started it. April, May, June, July, August, September. By September, 5 months maybe, that's when the rainy season is going to start kicking in October. And yeah. Okay. Now, some other news. I didn't talk about this the other day. This was on July 1st. During training, a landing gear didn't come out on a Su-34 aircraft. The trainee pilot and his instructor co-pilot ejected the aircraft. The Su-34 cost $85 million. You can see in the image the front landing gear is out, but the back landing gear doesn't come out. And so, one more is out, and it's, even if the Ukrainians didn't take it down, okay, that's fine. It's still one less Su-34 to attack Ukraine with. FPV drone pilots in the Presidential Brigade continue to destroy Russian armor in the Novopolivka direction. And here, FPV drones versus BM-21 Grad MLRS. In the southern direction, warriors detected an enemy BM-21 Grad MLRS used by the invaders for shelling. The occupiers tried to flee, hide their equipment, but it was too late. The FPV drone destroyed the launcher. This is why drones are so important. Look at what this launcher is able to do. Okay, so they see it, the drone detects it, and then the drone's going to go after it, or drones are going to go after it and the people that were launching these things, killing Ukrainians in the process, more than likely, right? So there it is, and they're trying to flee. They're in this vehicle trying to flee, and that's not going to work out so well for them, right? Drones are the game changer on the battlefield in modern warfare. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a couple last stories here. Just some of these are fairly touching. Vitaly was a warehouse worker with a dream, a house, and time with his kids. Now he defends Ukrainian skies. He shot down 2 Shaheeds every time he takes aim. He thinks of his 3 children. His mission is to protect their future. His dream is peace. Yeah, it's a good day when the enemy's in front of you and your family is behind you, right? Even in the tough circumstances, that's a better scenario than letting the enemy get past you to them. Okay, this one hurt my heart. You ready for this? You might want to just stop here if you don't have a strong constitution. Mom, are we going to stay in the shelters until we destroy Russia? Asks a kid. So one evening by flashlight, we're reading a speech by the American president about some children playing on sunny playgrounds. My child looked up and asked, Mom, how deep does the Terrasque penetrate? Because they have to live in bunkers or in shelters underground. I didn't know how to answer. Sweetie, I don't know. I'll check later, I said. Then came the part that stopped me cold. Just don't take too long, okay? Because if it gets into the shelter, I won't be here to find out. Oh, man. Kids shouldn't have to grow up thinking like that, right? Or worrying about that kind of thing. Okay, here's Medvedev, and I told you I would tell you about him. Over 210,000 contract soldiers joined the army in the first 6 months of 2025. He's bragging. Yet for some reason, the numbers of soldiers in the army hasn't increased. If Medvedev isn't lying, then what happened to the 210,000 Russian soldiers over the past 6 months? Obvious answer is 210,000 previous contract soldiers were either killed or severely wounded in the war in Ukraine. And the answer is that there was actually something like 240,000. So you're actually negative. And he's talking about, well, we have another 210,000. Well, actually, you have minus 30,000. That's the actual answer to what's happened here. Okay. I'll leave you with this last story. Marina Mazuka and her husband dreamed of opening their own coffee shop. Then a year ago, Marina's husband died defending Ukraine. Quote, if he can no longer make it his dream come true himself, I have to fulfill it for both of us and tell people who Makita was, Marina shared. The coffee shop's name is Kit Makita. That's Kat Makita. It comes from Marina's husband's military call sign. Relatives and friends help with the interior and start of the business. The coffee shop was open just a month and a half in Mykolaiv. Marina says that she wants visitors to understand the importance of supporting the armed forces of Ukraine and never forget the fallen defenders. Everything here is in the style of combat cats because thanks to them we can drink coffee and eat something tasty and wake up every morning. I want to show this to people, and of course, it's a symbol to carry the memory of my husband, she said. All right, my friends, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is this fundraiser that we've been working at, Vampire Drones. We're trying to raise money for 5 Vampire drones to get supplies to the front so the guys don't have to travel between the front and the rear as much and be in harm's way from drones that can do bad things to them. The goal is 78,000. As of yesterday afternoon, when we were talking about it, we had raised 34,000. We will update this now. 34 is now 68,000. We are $10,000 away from the 5 Vampire drones. These drones are going to be going to Terrasque. Terrasque on the map is right here. It's half of it is already taken by the Russians, and if you can blunt the Russians here in and around Terrasque, they can't get to Constantinivka, and that then cut off these critical roads. So that's I mean, these are going where the fight's hot. So if you want to donate, I'll put the link below and in the description. I'll wipe everything else out. All right, my friends, I'll leave you with this last thought by Darth Putin. Halting supplies shows 3 logically incompatible things my trolls believe. First, Russia is surrounded by a hostile alliance that intends to invade it. That alliance doesn't have the ammo to do this. And then Russia must invade to keep the alliance that lacks the ammo to attack Russia away from Russia. Okay, my friends, that's all that I have for this daily brief. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.